At the start of the episode, Lucas has arrived in 2149. He is overseeing the preparation of the army he plans to take back to Terra Nova when his employer, Weaver, joins him. Weaver worries that their travel during the 11th pilgrimage might be difficult since Hope Plaza, the center where the time portal is located in 2149, will be strictly guarded. Lucas sinisterly assures his superior that they'll get in successfully. Meanwhile, back in Terra Nova, Jim and Taylor are setting up security preparations for Lucas' potential attack. Later at home, Maddie and Zoe are scared about the war. Jim promises to keep them safe and tells Josh that if his girlfriend comes through the 11th pilgrimage, he will get her to the colony safely. The following day, Taylor leaves Lieutenant Alicia as commander in charge while he and Jim go to the terminus to await the arrival of the pilgrimage. Once there, Hope Plaza communicates with Taylor to inform him that they are now sending the pilgrims. While Taylor and his soldiers stay in a defense position, the first person comes through the portal. Soldiers search him, but he appears to be a normal citizen. As more people come through, they are checked, cleared, and sent towards the colony. Eventually, Carr arrives and warmly greets Jim. But just then a man with a bomb strapped to his chest emerges from the portal and detonates, injuring the security forces at the gate and knocking Jim out in the process. In the next scene, Jim wakes up in the infirmary at the colony, mostly unable to hear his attending nurse. Disoriented, Jim stumbles outside, only to find that the Terra Nova colony is in ruins. Soldiers, who identify themselves as Phoenix Force, now occupy the colony, and Lucas, Weaver, and Mira reside in Taylor's office. He tries to ask one of the soldiers about the situation, but gets knocked down. Elizabeth ushers him back to the infirmary before the soldier prepares to hit him again. Once back at the infirmary, Elizabeth informs Jim that the explosion took place 3 days ago. Lieutenant Alicia was forced to surrender after 26 colonists were killed, while Taylor is still out in the jungle somewhere. Jim returns home to find the rest of his family safe at home, but he learns that Kara died during the explosion and soothes his mourning son. Elizabeth informs him that the soldiers confiscated weapons and enforce a curfew while constantly patrolling the colony. Jim then heads down to Boylan's bar, where he meets with Lieutenant Alicia. He tries to end her self-inflicted punishment for surrendering the colony, then reveals that the Phoenix group brought their own time portal gate after the original one was destroyed in the explosion. However, the new one was also half destroyed by dinosaurs, and now the soldiers have enlisted Malcolm to repair it. Jim then confronts Malcolm and questions him why he is working for the Phoenix group. Malcolm angrily tells Jim that he was threatened to do so. When Lucas and Mira arrive in search of Jim, however, Jim and Malcolm outwit them by having Jim pretend he is mentally disturbed and crippled after the explosion. Lucas quickly abandons the hope of using him to find his father, but Mira doesn't seem so sure. The following day, Lucas orders his soldiers to summon Skye. He reminds her about the time she betrayed him, and that given their history with Commander Taylor, they should consider themselves brother and sister. Meanwhile, in the infirmary, Elizabeth is removing bullets from injured soldiers when she notices that all the bullets have a number hand engraved on them. She informs Jim of this, and Jim realizes that they are map coordinates sent by Taylor. He then devises a way to sneak out of the colony. Next, Lucas and Weaver prepare to head out in their rovers to determine the status of the extremely valuable meteoric ore found in one of the valleys. Weaver complains about a massive bug biting his arm, but Lucas seems less than interested. When one of the residents, Casey Darwin, distracts Lucas and his men, Jim manages to sneak in one of the rovers. The rovers arrive at the cliff overlooking a valley filled with thousands of tons of meteoric ore. Weaver, quite a greedy man, is anxious to get started with mining the precious material. He then grabs a gun and fires at a brachiosaur, despite Lucas' apparent discomfort. Meanwhile, Jim sneaks away from the rover. He then meets Taylor and the other soldiers in the woods and relays news of the bomb, something a young soldier, Riley, believes she can defuse once they've traced the signal to its location. Using a tracker, the team races to the spot where the bomb was planted by the Phoenix Force, and Riley prepares to disable it. Meanwhile, Weaver spots them on a hill and informs Lucas that his father is disabling the bomb. Lucas demands Weaver to detonate it, but they are still well within the blast zone. Thankfully, Riley disables the bomb and they escape. Jim then makes his way back to the colony, pretending to be disoriented, and stumbled outside the gate in confusion. The guards bring him to his home and threaten to kill him if he is caught outside the gates again. The following day, Mira is approached by a Phoenix guard who asks her to fulfill the orders of their employers to explore an area known as the Badlands. In Luca's office, Skye asks if she can speak to him privately. Skye explains that since Taylor still refuses to talk to her about being the Sixers' spy, she will ally herself with Lucas. Over the next few days, Jim manages to attach tracking devices on Phoenix rovers so that Taylor can keep tabs on them. Various soldiers and rovers are taken down in the jungle, and Lucas deduces that someone in the colony is helping his father. He then heads to Boylan's bar and taunts Josh to draw out his father. When Lucas starts bullying Sky as well, Josh loses his cool and hits Lucas in the face. Lucas then orders his soldiers to hold Josh back and delivers several blows to Josh as well. Sky, screaming, runs to go fetch Jim. Jim blows his cover by rushing in to defend his son. After fighting off several soldiers, he is eventually overpowered. Lucas, suspecting that Jim is the one helping his father, orders him to be searched and finds a tracking device in the pocket. He then orders both Josh and Jim to be thrown in the cell. Later, Lucas lets go of Josh after Sky convinces him. He gives Jim one more chance to tell him where his father is, but Jim doesn't give him any information. Lucas then pulls a taser to torture Jim until he can inform him about his father's location. Meanwhile, in the infirmary, Weaver feels worse after the bug bite. Elizabeth then appears and informs Weaver that he has just been injected with the larvae of parasites and won't provide him the cure until he gets Jim out of the cell. Meanwhile, Jim is under continuous torture from Lucas, but he refuses to break. Jim asks why Lucas hates his father so much. Lucas reveals that back in Somalia, Taylor was forced by rebel invaders to choose the life of his son rather than his wife, something Lucas believes his father always blamed him for. Moreover, Lucas was forced to watch as his mother was slowly killed in front of him. Weaver then appears and makes up a lie that Taylor's camp has been found. Lucas quickly leaves, and Weaver uses this chance to help Jim escape. Weaver then brings Jim home, and Elizabeth injects the cure into Weaver, only to reveal that she had lied about his injected parasites. The cure was in fact a sedative, and Weaver slowly falls unconscious. The family then begins to make their escape to join Taylor in the woods. Meanwhile, Lucas realizes that the story of finding Taylor's camp was a lie, and that Jim and his family have escaped, has the soldiers searching everywhere for them. Jim and the family hide behind large tanks on the outskirts of the colony and wait for Lieutenant Alicia. She arrives and tells them that she has to stay behind to aid in their escape. She then leaves, promptly exploding a building and distracting the guards. The family then escapes the colony and meet Taylor just outside the colony. Unfortunately, the lieutenant is caught by the guards and brought before Lucas, who shoots her dead in front of everyone when she refuses to give up Taylor's location or Jim's. Taylor and the rest arrive at the temporary camp. Maddie reunites with Mark, and the two embrace each other with a kiss. The following day, Mira returns Terra Nova from her mission in the Badlands, and Lucas and Weaver are elated to see an artifact she managed to bring back with her. Back at the camp, Jim and Taylor plan to destroy the Hope Plaza to prevent any more of the Phoenix Group soldiers from coming through the portal and destroying the land. They realize that the portal must be destroyed for good, even if it means cutting themselves off from 2149. As the new portal terminus is complete with the help of Malcolm, the Phoenix soldiers ready their 3 shipments of meteoric ore through to the employers in 2149. Lucas plans to drive a 4th shipment as well, which contains the mysterious artifact. Sky offers to go with him as she claims to know Taylor's location, and Lucas accepts. Back in the camp, Jim volunteers to go through the portal to destroy Hope Plaza. Elizabeth gives Jim, in addition to the bomb that he would use to destroy the portal, a special syringe for an unknown purpose. As Lucas drives the mystery shipment, Sky tells him that she knows how he can defeat his father. Lucas stops his vehicle and radios the soldiers at the terminus that he will return to the colony and send someone else to deliver his cargo. Just then, Mark and a fellow soldier, dressed as Phoenix soldiers, arrive at the scene and hold Lucas hostage. They then swap out Lucas' shipment with one of their own, containing Jim. With Mark and Dunham gone with the shipment, Lucas breaks free of the bondage keeping his hands tied, and knocks Sky out, before fleeing on foot towards the terminus. After regaining her consciousness, Sky informs Taylor about the situation. Taylor then heads out to find his son. Next, the shipment, which has been replaced by a crate with Jim in it, arrives at the terminus and gets pushed through 2149. Weaver follows behind with 3 other shipments of meteoric ore. In the meantime, Lucas races through the jungle towards the terminus, but is knocked over by Taylor. After a fistfight, Taylor throws his son to the ground. Lucas begs for his father to help him and begins to apologize for his deeds. He then gets up and embraces his father. Taylor realizes he is his son after all and hugs him back. Suddenly, Lucas pierces a knife through his father's stomach. He then prepares to finish Taylor off with another stab but is shot in the chest by Sky, who appears from behind a bush. Next, Jim, hiding in one of the containers, arrives in 2149 in Hope Plaza. Outside the container, Weaver proudly declares the shipments he has brought to his business partners. He then tells them about something valuable they found in the Badlands and opens the container. Jim then slides to the back of the container, grabs the syringe Elizabeth had given to him, and injects it into a concealed object in the container with him. As the container door opens, a recently awoken Carnotaurus stumbles outside and attacks Weaver and the employers. Jim then heads away to plant the bomb in the Hope Plaza. He successfully plants the bomb while fighting several soldiers along the way. Back in the jungle, Sky dresses Taylor's wounds and apologizes to Lucas. But when they look for him, Lucas is gone. He apparently lived and has now escaped. In the Hope Plaza, Jim prepares to run back to the terminus, but Weaver appears on the way and holds a pistol to his head. Unknown to him, the Carnotaurus comes up behind Weaver and rips him apart. The dinosaur then chases after Jim as he barely makes it through the portal before it is destroyed. With Malcolm's help, Jim appears somewhere else in the woods rather than in the terminus site to avoid Phoenix soldiers there. Elizabeth manages to find him and the two kiss each other, elated for their successful mission. Meanwhile, Mira arrives at the terminus site and learns that Hope Plaza was destroyed, and they are stuck in the past. That is in Terra Nova itself. A grief-stricken and enraged Mira stands there in shock, realizing she will never get to see her daughter again. Jim and Elizabeth reunite with Taylor in the camp when the commander gets a call from Boylan. The bartender informs him that the Phoenix group suddenly left Terra Nova and headed north, without mentioning to anyone where they were going. Taylor and the group then head back to Terra Nova where they are happily greeted by the residents. As they all begin the process of repairing the colony, Mark informs Taylor and Jim that their northernmost patrols spotted the Phoenix group heading towards the Badlands. Jim recalls Weaver and other employers talking about the Badlands, and the container they switched out contained something the Phoenix soldiers recovered in the Badlands. Taylor then has the container brought in. Once the container is opened, everyone is shocked to find a prow of an 18th century ship. Jim wonders why and how the remains of an 18th century ship ended up in the Badlands in this time period. Taylor contemplates what in the Badlands could be so important to Phoenix soldiers, and what else is out there waiting to be discovered. Later that night, Jim and Elizabeth join their children to watch a meteor shower together. Subscribe to see more videos like this, turn on the notifications, and hit a like to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.